Los Angeles Rams are your Super Bowl 56 champions, and the Rams win a classic Super Bowl 56, just like I predicted. My prediction was spot on, like literally. Just take a look at this clip from my Super Bowl preview video, which was on Saturday. You guys want to check the date, be sure to check it, because I predicted the Rams would win 24-20, and I also said that Aaron Donald would close the door on Joe Burrow. I said the Bengals would get one last drive, but Aaron Donald would win it, and that's exactly what happened. Take a look.
With the LA Rams 24-20, it comes down to the wire, but the Rams defensive line dominates in big plays by Matt Stafford. Late gets it done. You can watch the Super Bowl tomorrow, 5:30 Central Time on NBC. I think the Bengals get one late last chance with the Rams defensive line, and fittingly, Aaron Donald, who's going to be the Super Bowl MVP, closed the door on Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
I also thought I'd share the challenge that I took on Twitter Sports, where just in 6 words or less, make your Super Bowl 56 prediction, and I did. And here's how, and here was the reward for getting it right. Guess what happened? But overall, the Rams got it done 23-20 in an epic comeback, Hollywood style. The Rams are now two-time NFL champion. Sean McVay, at 36 years old, the youngest head coach, gets his first ring, and well-deserved ring for Matthew Stafford. And of course, Cooper Kupp was a Super Bowl MVP. The Bengals scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. The Rams had the game-winning drive late in the fourth quarter that gave them the lead 23-20, and Aaron Donald did the rest. The big plays in Super Bowl 56 and where exactly the Rams won this Super Bowl. Cooper Kupp had the game-winning 1-yard touchdown reception to give them a 23-20 lead. Then Aaron Donald, he cleaned it up on 4th and 1 at the LA 49 with 43 seconds to go. Forced the Joe Burrow incompletion, spun him to the ground, and got to him quick. But here's that game-winning drive. 15 plays, 79 yards in almost 5 minutes. Starting at the LA 21, the Rams faced a key 4th and 1 at their own 30. Big decision for Sean McVay to make at that time. There was only 5 minutes left, and Sean McVay decided to go with his gut and go for it. And he understood that not converting it at that time, which would mean the game was over, but he gives it to his best offensive player on a jet sweep, which is Cooper Kupp. Kupp makes a critical move, nice juke move to get inside and get that first down by picking up 7 yards. Kupp ended this drive by getting 46 big yards. Bryson Hopkins, the third-string tight end, got 15 yards in this drive. And once Cooper Kupp picked up that first down on 4th and 1, it led to one of the biggest, arguably the biggest play in Super Bowl 56, which was so insane. Let's take a look at that. It was where Matthew Stafford made one of the biggest and probably the best throws we've ever seen in Super Bowl history. Took place when Matthew Stafford did a literal no-look pass over the middle of the field on 2nd and 7 at the Cincinnati 46 with 3 minutes left. It was 22 yards to Cooper Kupp that set the ball up all the way to the Cincinnati 24 with 2.5 minutes to go. Stafford stepped up in the pocket, tried to move the safeties just enough to where he could throw it over the middle to Cooper Kupp, and he fired an absolute no-look bullet pass that was absolutely so clutch. And then eventually the Rams had 3rd and goal at the Cincinnati 8-yard line, and that's when the refs decided to get involved. It was an incomplete pass on 3rd and goal intended for Cooper Kupp over the middle. Take a look at this. They called holding on that linebacker Logan Wilson, which gave the Rams an automatic first down and half the distance to the goal. This is a very horrible call that has pretty much everybody complaining about this. Logan Wilson did not hold, man. Come on, that is not holding. It would have been, now that sets up a really interesting situation if they had called this holding to where it would have been 4th and goal at the 8-yard line, which is something I would have wanted to see from Stafford and the Rams. Can they get it in from 8 yards? But this penalty gave the Rams a new chance. But there was also something that should have been called, which was not on the Rams on this very play, which was a false start on the entire offensive line. Let's take a look at this clip here. It should have been 3rd and goal from the Cincinnati 13-yard line. Instead, it's 1st and goal at the Cincinnati 4. Cooper Kupp catches it at the goal line for the touchdown, but on that play, they were offsetting penalties, holding on the offense, unnecessary roughness on the defense, which was the correct call. That was correct. So you redo 1st and goal. And on this play, there was defensive pass interference against, of course, Eli Apple, which pass interference you get placed at the 1 yard line if it's in the end zone, which it was. Again, this was a correct call. What happened? The goal line fade to Cooper Kupp over Eli Apple, does the trick at the 1 yard line. The Rams just couldn't really run the ball too well all game, which is why they passed at the goal line. It's really different from the Seattle Seahawks situation in Super Bowl 49, if you guys remember Malcolm Butler pick. But that's different because the Seahawks had Marshawn Lynch, man. The Rams were literally averaging like 1.5 yards a carry, and they were getting stuffed every time they tried to run the ball. So it made sense to throw it out to your best player up there, Cooper Kupp, and let him go up and get that bad boy, and that's exactly what transpired right there. And then it came down to the defense. Joe Burrow had 1:25, 2 timeouts to work with, had 2 great plays that set up the Bengals with a 3rd and 1 at the LA 49 with 48 seconds to go. And the Rams stuffed Samaje Perine, led by Aaron Donald. And then on 4th and 1, the best defensive player in the game, Aaron Donald, he comes rushing in on a mission, spins Burrow, and then forces an incompletion to end the game. And if you take a look at this, Jamar Chase was wide open for the game-winning touchdown, only if Joe Burrow had an extra second. But Burrow just didn't have enough time, which is something they're going to have to address in the offseason. And the 2 big plays, Donald gets to Burrow to force that incompletion, and Kupp's 46 yards and a touchdown on that game-winning drive. And then I know a lot of people were talking about the refs in this game, especially at the end. The refs got involved quite a bit in the last minute and a half, let's say, of this game. But in my opinion, it was favoring the Rams. I mean, a lot of people were saying it all balances out. There was this big face mask against T. Higgins, if you guys remember, starting the second half. The Bengals went 1 play, 75 yards for a touchdown, where T. Higgins held on to the face mask of Jalen Ramsey, threw him to the ground, and where T. Higgins was able to make that catch. That should have been called a face mask. That touchdown should have never counted. So that's 1 call against the Rams. This Logan Wilson call was 1 call to help the Rams. And then if you guys remember, way back in that first quarter, Jalen Ramsey, he held Higgins on that pass into the end zone on 3rd and goal at the LA 11-yard line. He held Higgins in, and Higgins wasn't able to make the catch with 35 seconds left in the first quarter. So that call went towards the Rams. So it was really 2-1 LA. But the fact is, calls are going to be calls, man. That's going to happen. But the fact is that Joe Burrow had a chance to win it all with a game-winning drive, but he just couldn't get it done because he didn't have enough time. But let's talk about Matthew Stafford, who wins his first Super Bowl in his career after 13 years. He came up big time with the championship on the line. The Rams are really struggling in the running game all night long. They only had 43 total rushing yards. And on that game-winning drive, they ended up having 14 total passes and only 3 runs to win. And the Rams, they had only scored 3 points in that 3rd quarter. And before the half, they were up 13-10. Take a look at those drives. From that moment, they were up 13-10. They literally went interception, punt, interception, field goal, punt, punt, punt before the final game-winning drive. But it just changed at that moment. Matt Stafford stepped up, made some really great throws. Cooper Kupp came through when he needed to, and he led the game-winning drive. On this game-winning drive, he was 8 out of 14 for 64 yards and a touchdown. He had a great throw to Odell Beckham in that first quarter for a touchdown. His numbers are pretty much perfect in that first half. And he had this amazing throw to Cooper Kupp for a touchdown in the second quarter from 2nd and 5 at the Cincinnati 11-yard line. An amazing play-action pass that literally faked us all out who are watching on TV and live. Play-action pass that left Cooper Kupp wide open in the back corner of the end zone for that touchdown to make it 13-3. Take a look at Stafford's numbers. 65% completion for almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, but he definitely deserved it. After all those years in Detroit, with really not enough support to get it done. And the Rams really had to rely on his arm because their running game wasn't working. They had to rely on his arm, and he just did it, honestly. He just did it. And the two main stars, guys, Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp. How about those two? Kupp might have had the greatest wide receiver performance in NFL history this season, winning the Triple Crown in receiving catches, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, over 2,000 total yards receiving this year, plus a Super Bowl MVP and an MVP nomination. He did that all in one season, something nobody's ever done. In the NFL, had 8 catches for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns, one in the second and one in the fourth quarter. To me, he flat out deserved the MVP. I know a lot of people were talking about, hey, Aaron Donald, he should have deserved the MVP. He got the game-winning stuff. He got 2 sacks. I understand that. But Cooper Kupp, he was dominant this entire game. Aaron Donald only came to play in the fourth quarter, which is obviously great. But I think it should go to somebody who consistently was performing throughout the entire game, and that was Cooper Kupp. And he was really the only playmaker on the offensive side of the ball once Odell Beckham Jr. got hurt. And the offense was clearly affected by OBJ being out. But Kupp just found ways to be open. I think it also helped that the Rams are using, a fast-paced offense to help prevent the double team, something Matthew Stafford alluded to on NFL Live the other day. But really, when it mattered the most, Cooper Kupp came through. And to me, he still should have won the regular season MVP. But Stafford really should be given credit too for Cooper Kupp's season. Kupp has never had this kind of season until Matt Stafford joined this year. So that's saying something right there. And then Aaron Donald, who's the best defensive player on the planet, the best player in the NFL, arguably, came through in that second half big time, where the Rams ended up sacking Joe Burrow 7 times, which was the tie for the most in Super Bowl history. Donald ended up with 2 sacks and 4 tackles, even though he was doubled for most of the game. But the Rams, hats off to defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, who should get some interviews. Come on, guys. Rams schemed him to be one-on-one and get some favorable matchups against this offensive line. Donald is just so quick with his feet, and the linemen literally see ghosts on the field once Donald cuts back inside with his quick feet. They ran different stunts and shifts on that defensive line to be able to get Aaron Donald to do what he does best, which is to win one-on-one. And also hats off to Von Miller, who got 2 sacks as well. He was huge. You had Leonard Floyd, who chipped in with a sack. Ashawn Robinson did great in the running game, got in with a sack. Ashawn Robinson, by the way, was great in stopping Joe Mixon when needed. Really, I think the biggest moment that people are really not talking about is when Stafford had that tipped interception to Skoranek, if I'm correct. And the Bengals were positioned up 17-13 at the time with all the momentum really early in the second half. The second half basically just started because this was right after T. Higgins caught that 75-yard bomb from Joe Burrow to make it 17-13. Stafford comes out, throws a pick. The Bengals have the ball at the LA 31-yard line up by 4 with all the momentum. And then here comes Aaron Donald on a big sack on 3rd and 3 to force the Evan McPherson field goal that kept the game a one-possession game, because if the Bengals go down and score a touchdown at that time, I understand the second half just started, but it would be 24-13, an 11-point deficit, which I just don't think the Rams would have been able to climb out of at that time. So I think Aaron Donald really played a key part in that second half specifically. On that great sack that he did, two big sacks by Aaron Donald. And then Odell Beckham Jr., just wanted to point him out as well. Just so happy and just so sad for OBJ as well, who tore his ACL again during the Super Bowl, non-contact injury. Couldn't play in the second half at all, was in tears on the sideline, was in tears once the Rams won the Super Bowl. But he was amazing early, had 2 catches, 52 yards, and a touchdown. And the Rams really struggled when he wasn't there. But that touchdown, that was something. He mossed Mike Hilton, which is incredible, who's the Bengals' best corner. And then we had this ridiculous highlight, the most ridiculous scene I've ever seen, with former Texans and Bucks cornerback Vernon Hargreaves. Look at this idiot, inactive for the game. He decides to jump into a celebration. In his warm-up gear. This dude is wearing a hoodie and shorts with flip-flops. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. Probably the most stupidest thing you could ever imagine. Vernon is a clown, honestly, in this thing. This is stupidity at its greatest. Just no IQ, man. Come on. And he cost the team 10 yards for unsportsmanlike conduct because he wasn't even playing. He's inactive, man. You're not supposed to go onto the field and start partying with the dudes. I understand you want to do that after the interception, but you can't do that, bro. Come on. He's probably never going to play football again after this mistake. It was just brainless, to be honest. And then talking about the Bengals here, just some really aggressive play calling that kind of took a downturn here for Cincinnati. Really a horrible decision by head coach Zach Taylor to take out Joe Mixon with the game on the line. You know, you just have to get your stars out there. Joe Mixon was looking like a Super Bowl MVP candidate throughout the entire game. He had a 6-yard touchdown pass to T. Higgins. That was incredible. He was averaging 5 yards to carry, 15 carries for 72 yards, and then 5 catches as well. He should have gotten that ball on 3rd and 1 instead of Samaje Perine. You have to get your best players the rock when you need it to, especially in the Super Bowl. Talking about the other J, Jamar Chase, he was outstanding as well. Working against Jalen Ramsey made him fall on the ground quite a bit, especially on that 4th and 1, but where he could have had the possible game-winning touchdown, but his QB didn't have enough time. Jamar had 5 catches for 89 yards, including the amazing 46-yard amazing one-handed grab over Ramsey. And I think Jamar played well enough to win the game. Joe Burrow, talking about him, he had a solid game, but nothing really out of this world from Joe Shiesty. But I think that's really how it's been for Joe Burrow this entire playoffs. In this game, he had 67% completion for 263 yards and a touchdown. Got some big first downs. He could have had the game-winning drive, but he didn't. Just really didn't have enough time in the pocket. Really needed one more second. But the offensive line, which is their biggest weakness throughout the season, it came back to haunt him. 1 sack in the first half by LA, 6 sacks in the second half, which is insane. Burrow really had 3 chances to end it all, but they all ended in punts. He had 4 straight punts, plus a turnover on downs to end the game. And honestly, I think we need to see how good Joey Brr can be next season to say how good Burrow is. And then this defense, to me, I think they played really well. They played it well enough to win the Bengals defense. Talking about Sam Hubbard, Logan Wilson, Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals, hats off to them. They completely destroyed the Rams running game for 43 yards. But they just couldn't stop the pass when they needed to. Got really unlucky with penalties, I understand. Maybe could have won the game on 4th and goal, but overall, really the pressure didn't come in enough for the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson, DJ Reader, BJ Hill, Sam Hubbard, they all made plays, but just not enough plays to get after Stafford. Only 2 sacks, one by DJ Reader, one by Trey Hendrickson. And there were the Trey Hendrickson sack was early in that first quarter. DJ Reader near the end of the 3rd quarter. And then Logan Wilson, number 55, he balled out 9 sacks, played amazing. But the pressure just wasn't enough on Stafford. But they were great in run defense. But they just flat out needed to get pressure more. But the Rams, they are your Super Bowl 56 champions, just like I predicted. The Rams had their Super Bowl parade today. They were partying like crazy, man. Can't tell you. They're Super Bowl champs. So if you guys enjoyed my thoughts on the Super Bowl, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, comment what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next one.